The way I think about it, a portal is a passageway,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's that liminal in-between space.
Mm-hmm.
We're not where we were, and we're not where we're going. And that in-between can be really uncomfortable, but also really transformative. We're shaped by it, we're changed by it, often in unexpected ways. So I really like that metaphor of a portal for the times that we're in, these times of such upheaval and devastation, because it offers a sense of possibility, right? Of engagement. We're in this portal both individually and collectively,
Yes.
right? So this is an invitation for all of us, in the midst of collapse, but with the potential for transformation.
Mm-hmm.
And we have agency over how we will engage it and the meaning we give to it.
Peace and riches blessings. I am Michael B. Beckwith, the host of Take Back Your Mind. Peace and blessings, everyone, and welcome to the Take Back Your Mind podcast. I am your host, Michael B. Beckwith, the founder of the Agape International Spiritual Center, and your host for Take Back Your Mind, where I have the privilege and the honor and the complete joy to have great conversations with individuals that I feel have opened their heart and taken back their mind and are making a difference on the planet. Individuals that have broke free from the matrix of separation, the illusion of distance from each other, the distance from the presence of God, and in their own unique way are providing value to the human experience, the human incarnation. Today, I have Liza Rankow. Did I say your name correct?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me tell you who she is for a moment, then we'll chat it up a bit. She's an interfaith minister, educator, activist, and author. Matter of fact, I have her book with me right now, Soul Medicine for a Fractured World. We've been waiting for this for a while. Healing, Justice, and the Path of Wholeness is the subtitle. Her life work centers the deep healing that is essential to personal and social transformation. She's the founder and former executive director of One Life Institute, which for almost 20 years nurtured the well-being of frontline changemakers. Extremely important work. She has been a spiritual counselor and teacher for more than 3 decades, working with individual clients, facilitating healing workshops, offering classes and workshops in a variety of community and academic settings. She's a producer and co-editor of the Living Wisdom of Howard Thurman audio collection. We're going to get into that. Her new book is Soul Medicine for a Fractured World, Healing, Justice, and the Path of Wholeness. She lives in Oaktown. She lives in Oakland, California. She spends much of her time as possible in her wildly magical garden. Now, that's healing in and of itself.
It is. It is.
Welcome, Liza.
Thank you. It is good to be with you, Michael.
Yeah, it's good to see you. I mean, we've known each other for decades.
I was realizing it's been almost 30 years since we met, and we just kind of intersect.
Right. We're in the right places at the right time with the right people doing the right thing.
That's the prayer.
Yeah, for justice and the path of wholeness. Let people know who you are. Let's start with your personal story. I mean, how did you end up in your current work as an interfaith minister and activist, deeply ensconced with Thurman? We'll get into that in a moment, but just your personal path, your journey.
Yeah, well, I wasn't raised in any organized religion, no doctrinal teachings, no worship services. My father was actually an atheist Jew at the time I was born, and
Uh-huh.
my mom was a mostly non-practicing Lutheran.
Uh-huh. A mixed marriage, eh?
A mixed for the 1950s, that
Yeah.
is what they called it. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah. But along the way, they became spiritual seekers.
Mm.
So I really grew up in that climate of seeking, right? Surrounded by shelves of books, a lot of Edgar Cayce,
Mm.
reincarnation, Paramahansa Yogananda.
Mm-hmm.
The summer I turned 9, I read Autobiography of a Yogi.
That's a nice imprint.
It was. And then from there, I turned to the Gospels and I read about Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always had like a deeply spiritual nature. But although I've studied many religions, I'm more drawn to the essence of
Yes.
spirituality rather than the institutions.
Yes.
And then on the activist side, I don't know if you know this, I grew up in New York City
Mm-hmm.
in the 1960s. So to some degree, social justice was just in the air.
Yes.
My parents, again, were not activists at all, but I osmosed it maybe. And
Mm-hmm.
during the US war in Vietnam, in
Mm-hmm.
3rd grade, kind of mounted my own protests and had my underground newspaper called The Dove. So really throughout my life, these twin concerns, commitments, spirituality, and social justice have been the through line. Yeah.
That's interesting. I have a similar background.
Huh.
Like my mother was very involved in civil rights and social activism. And as a kid, we would on the weekends picket the stores that were not treating people of color and so-called minorities correctly. And so I grew up that way. And she was involved with Operation Breadbasket, which was an offshoot of Jesse Jackson's work.
Right.
And so that was our church on Saturdays. And so we were involved at the Black Panther Party, Black Workers Congress, all that growing up.
Yeah.
And like your dad, I was more atheistic at the time, agnostic. I'd left the church at 16. And then later on in life, I had a spiritual awakening, which totally shattered that previous paradigm.
It'll happen.
It happened. It was like, okay, this is real. This presence, this love, this beauty is everywhere. And so when I started Agape, I wanted to mix the two. They're not really two. It's really one with different strands,
Right.
and be involved with creating a community that obviously honored all people and sought to make a difference on the planet. So it's very, very similar. And I know you were about to articulate this, that it's not really two strands. It's really
It's one thing.
One thing with two different ways of expressing the one thing. Yeah.
I like to talk about it as being like the in-breath and the out-breath. Right? We need both.
Yes.
One without the other is incomplete.
Right.
And so,
Absolutely.
that teaching is as close as our bodies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like what you said at the beginning. You appreciated the essence of the spiritual paths, not necessarily the institution.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important. I think we're going through kind of a renaissance around that now, with the young people leaving churches in droves and organized religion, but not leaving the essence of the teachings.
Right.
Kindness, compassion, making a difference on the planet, or going back into the religions and reconstructing it in a way that's not as off-putting in terms of a religious structure,
and the hierarchy,
right?
And that listen to the man in the front,
right,
rather than attune to the divine.
Right. The whole thing is supposed to be an attunement, an activation of what's already within you. Yeah, that's beautiful. You're deeply influenced by our brother, Dr. Howard Washington Thurman.
Yeah.
When did that come into your orbit? And you are deeply ensconced in the teachings and the practices of Dr. Thurman. And when did that happen in your life? And how did that move you?
Well, in a way, Michael, that story actually begins with you.
I love him. Yeah.
Yeah, so do I.
Mhm.
Back in the mid 1990s, when I was still living in North Carolina, I used to get the Sunday service cassette tapes from
Mm,
Agape,
mm.
that ancient technology, right?
Right. For
And
the young people that don't know what the cassette is, it's a small device that contains full-on teachings in music, but it's a, what do you call that in there? That
the audio
the tape.
tape.
It was a tape. You may not
Mhm.
know, but you can go to the library and look it up.
Right. They can Google it.
Right. You can Google what is it. What is, remember, and they had mixtapes.
Oh, mixtapes were I made mixtapes with Agape songs from
Right.
before there was a CD.
Right.
But anyway, every so often the pulpit reading would be from Dr. Howard Thurman.
Yes.
And I always appreciated those readings, but I didn't know anything about who he was.
Mm-hmm.
So then in 96 or 97, I was visiting Morehouse College with our mutual beloved, Reverend Deborah Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
And she was doing a presentation at the chapel about the film All God's Children.
Mm-hmm.
So after they did their thing and the people wanted to, of course, come up and talk one-on-one, I went out and just walked around in the building. And you're familiar with the chapel at Morehouse.
Yes.
So you know that in the center is the sanctuary, but then on either side, there are these long hallways lined with portraits.
Yes.
Right? So I'm strolling down the hallway looking at the portraits, and I find myself face to face with Howard Washington Thurman.
Mm.
And I said, oh my God, that's the guy whose readings I've been hearing.
Right.
And of course, then I learned that, there's an obelisk in the courtyard with his quotes engraved, and that his and Mrs. Thurman's ashes are interred there at Morehouse. So I started reading and studying his work and included it as part of my PhD. So really a deep dive.
Right.
And at this point, I was out in the Bay, so I got involved with Fellowship Church in San Francisco, the church that Thurman co-founded in 1944. And I became friends with some of the original members of that church who were at this time elders.
Wow.
I became friends with Thurman's daughter, Olive, and his adult grandchildren. I just really felt like Doc was opening the way. Because how does that happen?
Right. Your interest.
Well,
Through you.
or ancestral,
Yeah. Guidance.
arrangings.
Right.
So eventually I started teaching classes on Thurman, and we did that wonderful archival digitized collection that was published by Sounds True, The Living Wisdom. That you actually introduced one of the CDs on that box set.
My honor.
Yeah, but I found a deep resonance, especially with Thurman's integration of mystic spirituality and the commitment to social justice, just what we've been talking about. I had never seen anybody speak so directly to that integration. Literally, he had a lecture series in 1939 called Mysticism and Social Action.
Yes.
So I felt like I had found my spiritual home. Really.
Yeah. I was about to say you're taking down memory lane, but it's not really memory for me. It's lived. It's now.
Yeah.
When I attended Morehouse College, and the first mandatory lecture for the freshmen was to hear this man named Howard Thurman.
Wow.
And I knew a little bit about him. I was about to be moved over to Thurman Hall. And so me and my friends sat like in the fourth row, right in the center, primarily because his topic was the benefits of slavery. So we were young revolutionaries, 17, 18 years old.
Provocative topic.
Yeah. And I said, what are like the benefits of slavery? So we rolled in there, and they gave this introduction of him. It was, he all the accolades that he deserves. And then he began to speak, very methodical, one sentence building upon another. He was building his foundation, and so we're listening, and he talks about the African in Africa and how I remember him saying, I don't want to romanticize the African. However, they came from a plush environment. They could catch their food. They knew how to commune with the trees. It was, it was this whole environment. Their brain was, today we'd probably more say whole. I can't remember the language he used. And then he talked about the diaspora and that type of chattel slavery that was created, that created the diaspora around the world. And he says, you have these people who have a natural propensity towards compassion, kindness, forgiveness, coming from a field of abundance for such a time as this. He said, they're all over the world with this creative dynamic and this compassion. God doesn't ordain slavery, but perhaps the benefits of it is that you have these kind of people all around the world who have a propensity towards compassion. And he was saying that if you come from a space where there's lack, you're more apt to try to get rather than to give. We're sitting there like, I think I was 17 at the time. I don't think I quite turned 18. And we look at each other and say, this is deep. This is heavy, So then he's walking down the aisle. He's finished his talk. I go back now and I think about it. I realized I didn't understand a lot of what he was saying, but I got his essence of his being. But when he walked down that aisle, I could feel something coming off of him. Now I know it was the presence. You see, and it just hit me. So then fast forward, next semester, he wants to meet with the California boys because they kind of recruited us to come to Morehouse. They wanted some big city people to come, and not just California, but people from New York and Philly, and So I'm walking. Me and my boys are walking down to Dairy Queen. Now I wouldn't eat the stuff now, but it's a freshman in college. You got to do what you got to do. We're walking down to Dairy Queen to get something to eat, and we had just dropped a little tab of acid. And they come running up to me and says, Dr. Thurman wants to see you. And I said, oh no, I just dropped a tab of acid.
Oh, God.
It may have been the first time I ever did it.
Yeah.
And I said, oh no, I don't want to make a fool out of myself meeting with this man. So anyway, I come back, they were building buildings there. And so we had to walk through this rubble. And I remember picking up a clump of dirt, and the acid made me get involved in this clump of dirt, and I could see the universe in it. And they said, Michael, come on. I said, oh, okay. So I go down, and Dr. Thurman's waiting down into the hall. And I'm telling myself, please don't say anything stupid. Please don't say anything stupid. So the closer I get to him, Liza, the effects of the acid are wearing off. By the time I got in his presence, we're having the most beautiful conversation. He wants to know how we are adjusting to the South. And we had some very scary situations there in Atlanta. And just having this beautiful conversation. And I shook his hand, and I had no effects of the acid. As I walked away from him, it started to come on.
Wow.
Again, later on in life, I realized that I was in the presence of this mystic that abated the effects of the acid in coming on to me, and I sat down on the curb, and all night long I watched cars go by, and I would see the trails coming off the cars, all this stuff. Just thinking about that, I said, why there was no effect when I was with him? And I have a lot of effect. It was just thoughts in my mind. And then the next year and a half, I had a full-on opening spiritually. I mean, just I could see into the other dimension and see the presence everywhere. But yeah, he's been very close to me as well.
Yeah.
And I brought him into New Thought. I was the one.
I'm glad you did.
I was the one. Because if you remember, you probably know the story, because he was kind of excommunicated from the Christian church when he did that Jesus and the Disinherited piece.
Well, he was very clear that he was a follower of the teachings of Jesus,
Right.
the Jewish prophet,
Right.
and not this
Not Christianity.
Christ ruler,
Yeah.
not this Pauline creation. Yeah.
Right. When he said, I'm a follower of the teachings of Jesus, not necessarily Christianity, that set a lot of people on their heels.
Right. I don't think he was ever
not excommunicated, but he was shunned.
By some.
By some. And so I remember over at the United Church Religious Science, I said, we'll take it. I put him into the university and everywhere, and people actually thought that he was like a new thought spiritual leader.
I know.
Because of that.
I know.
But yeah. So I remember when you were getting into that, I was very happy. It was like, oh wow, she's gonna get a PhD. She's taking this to the next level. This is great. Yeah. So I imagine you have a close inner relationship with him.
Very much so. Very much so. I mean, we could spend the rest of the day with stories about how present I have felt his guiding spirit in my life, particularly working on the audio collection. He had a gazillion he was a pioneer in what was then a new technology of reel-to-reel audio and radio broadcast for spiritual messages. So there, so much archival recording that was moldering away. And we wanted to start digitizing it. Now, a lot of it is digitized and available online, which is fabulous. But at that time, this was the first digitization of Thurman's works. So how do you distill down this huge corpus of wisdom into 7 hours for that people can take home? And so we did a lot of like polishing the jewel. So for individual sermons, this is the technology. Talk about audio cassette tapes. I would make, I had cassette tapes of Thurman, and I had a computer. They didn't talk to each other, but I had my little cassette player, and I would play it ambiently and record it on my computer to make a digital file that I could edit. So I could send that to the guys at Sounds True as a template for what I wanted them to do on the quality ones. And I would be sitting at my computer in the wee hours saying, Doc, guide me. Like, what do you want me to cut? What do you want me to keep? It was a huge responsibility to edit a maestro.
Right.
And so I felt him there. Sometimes Olive call me up and say, I found a box of tapes in the closet. I don't know what to do with it. I'm sending it to you. Wow. And I was like, okay, Doc, I see what you did there. And there'd be something in there that needed to go in.
Right.
And then he has introduced me to people.
Yeah.
He's placed me in the way of folks that have become just the most magnificent co-journeyers and mentors and comrades that,
Yeah. I had a lot of those tapes too. And I was working with one of his relatives to do the same thing you were doing. We had a big stack of them, and we were right in the middle of signing a contract for us to digitize and then to fulfill the orders and to split the money. And then Morehouse College came in, and they went with them instead. I said, oh man. And I don't even know what they finally did with those tapes. But
that's another story for another day, Michael.
I know, but it's like I was right there. It was right there. And it's like, wait a minute. well, this is going to be out in a couple of months. Why do you want to take it out of my hands?
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
but you know, human beings are human beings and we love them.
Human beings be human beings. Mhm.
They be being.
But Doc got those recordings out though, didn't he?
Yeah, yes, 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 yes. Yes, that's beautiful. I remember
Mhm.
one time listening to a cassette in my car years ago, and he said something that I had to literally pull over and
Mm.
park
Mm.
to meditate and to
Mm.
synthesize
Mhm.
what he had just taught.
Mhm.
And so I thought I had sat there for like 5-7 minutes. When I finally came out of it, I'd sat there for an hour
Yeah.
just downloading his teaching,
Yeah.
you know, just
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
you know, like you say, we can talk about
We
the
could.
doc all day long,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
But let's talk about your book a little bit
Okay.
too. Soul Medicine for a Fractured World. And it opens with we're standing on a collective threshold in which you say we're in a portal. What do you mean by that? And how can people recognize that we're living
Mm.
inside one?
Mhm. Mhm. You know, the way I think about it, a portal is a passageway,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's that liminal in-between space.
Mm-hmm.
We're not where we were, and we're not where we're going. And that in-between can be really uncomfortable, but
Mm-hmm.
also really transformative. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we're shaped by it, we're changed by it, often in unexpected ways. So I really like that metaphor of a portal for the times that we're in, these times of such upheaval and devastation,
Mm-hmm.
because it offers a sense of possibility, right? Of engagement. We're in this portal both individually and collectively,
Yes.
right? So this is an invitation for all of us,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in the midst of collapse, but with the potential for transformation.
Mm-hmm.
And we have agency over how we will engage it and the meaning we give to it,
Yes.
you know? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the things that you emphasize is this can be a time of connection or disconnection. And that's
Exactly.
the agency that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And we can see a lot of people operating from a sense of separation and disconnection.
Right.
And then we can see and feel other individuals that are seeking to connect deeper with each other
Yes.
and become more human in terms of compassion and forgiveness, etc. So this is an interesting period of time we're living in. And
Yeah.
I'm reminded of that Thurman piece about I seek peace, you know, in the midst of
Mm-hmm.
crisis and collapse.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's where we need it most.
yes, absolutely. And I wrote something down here. One of the distinctions that stood out to me is the difference is between self-care and soul care.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that distinction so important to you right now? And give us the difference.
Yeah. um, you know, I have to acknowledge that some people mean by self-care what I'm getting at with soul care.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, self-care is the activities we engage in to help relieve our stress. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if we're heading for burnout, things like getting a massage or um, you know, sitting in front
Right,
of your favorite TV show with a glass of wine and comfort food, you know,
right, right.
things like that. But in order to face the times that we're in, we need something deeper,
Mm-hmm.
right? We need something that will remind us of that connection that we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about to the larger life, something that can sustain us
Mm-hmm.
through that. Yeah. So when I talk about soul care, I'm really trying to invite people to discover for themselves, like, what are the practices
Mm-hmm.
that help remind them to open that connection, to deepen those inner resources. And, when you go down deep, as Thurman would say, you come up inside of everything else. So
Right,
the
right,
deepest within and the infinite are really, they interbe,
right.
So when I'm saying go within yourself, it's not like an isolated unit. It's that going deep into the soul, which is then part of the soul of all of life.
Oh, yes. We're all emanating from the same source
Yeah.
of all creation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I would say there's a difference between pampering oneself
Right.
and taking care of oneself, the soul care you're describing. The pampering is definitely the bath or the shower, or there's nothing wrong with any of
I was
that,
going to say
actually.
we need
You need
all of
both.
it. We need all of it, but they're not interchangeable.
Right. And the soul care is actually discovering that part of you that's kind of untouched by human experience. You're connected with that, to make a connection with that allows you to withstand the vicissitudes of the world. Soul care. Again, going back to the essence of religion.
Right.
If you go to the essence, you're taking care of your soul. You're discovering who you are really. And then that carries you as you're seeking to navigate your survival through the world.
Right.
And we need a lot of soul care right now.
We do. We absolutely do. And it also, everything interrelates, but everything you just said and that I just said about the deepest parts of ourselves, but it also, soul care is connecting us with the larger thing, that wholeness that we're talking about, and that is inclusive of other humans, all life forms, ancestors, yet to be. I mean, it's just the allness of everything. Some people use God to signify that. For me, I think the term God has become too conscripted. So, I just make up language, right? But none of you can't, language is never going to actually describe something that's
Once you
beyond,
describe it, you limit it.
it's beyond language.
Yeah, right.
But for us, we cannot face these times just as ourselves. And we're not meant to, right?
You mean alone? Are you speaking of alone or
correct
personality?
Well, either or both,
Yeah.
right? That these times demand, and really a deep spiritual life demands, that we connect with something larger than ourselves.
Yes, yes.
And if we are sustained by that, informed by that, guided by that, it's a very different way, to walk through what we're being asked to walk through on the planet right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because there are individuals in high places and carrying the shield of law that are so disconnected from who they really are. I like to say that we're spiritually hardwired for love, but we've been programmed for hate, programmed for separation, racism, etc.
Yeah.
And so individuals that haven't gone deep enough or just been brainwashed, they don't see that they're connected to the beings that they're supposed to take care of. And they see themselves separate, which is just a filter. It's a brainwashing. It's a level of ignorance. And the thing about soul care is that when a person wakes up to their real nature, that we're all connected. The vibration of that person does affect other people, even without speaking.
Right.
I mean, like when the first time I saw Thurman walking down the aisle as a young teenager, there was a field around him. There was an energy. He wasn't saying anything. He was just walking, but it impacted me.
Right.
And I think that as people of soul continue to do their deep work, we're literally affecting the world.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think people that have a spiritual practice sometimes forget that they are making a difference in their spiritual practice. you know, and they may be called activism. They may be called to go to the shelter list and assist. They may be called to do many things, but their presence itself is also making a big difference.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly. And if we have that as our intention, it even amplifies the power of it.
Right. Absolutely. And the other thing is very beautiful about your book is your understanding and articulation about the medicine is in the wound. I think this is very, very important. I want you to articulate on that a little bit. It's in our wounds. Yeah, the medicine is in the wounds that we've had individually or collectively.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that can be a whole other hour-long podcast by itself, right?
Yeah. But I want to give a little taste of what's in
no. Let me try to like cliff notes it, and then we can.
I want everybody. I just want to say this.
It.
Everybody's listening. I want you to go get this book. Okay, it's profound. It's accessible. It's inspirational, and it's challenging. It's all that in one book. So I want you to get this book, son. That's why I'm picking out certain things.
Yeah. No, and this really is at the heart of the book. Yeah. I mean, there's a few things at the heart, but this is certainly central. Yeah. So, in my own experience, right, and in that of many people, some of our greatest growth, our greatest wisdom, even our greatest gifts, come out of our wounds, right, out of our greatest struggles, the things that we often wish never happened or we didn't have to go through, right? But it depends on how we meet those struggles. Do we shut down and close in on ourselves? Or do we go deep enough to find something within us, within our souls, within that larger wholeness that can sustain us whatever we're facing? So it first becomes medicine for ourselves, but then we can offer that in service to others. And so, you know, that has been such I'll say one of my greatest spiritual teachers has been chronic life-threatening illness. And so I know that one in my body as well as in my spirit and in my mind. Yeah.
You're synthesizing that Thurman writing about the unanswered prayer. That particular writing in which he describes the agony of something that you have to deal with.
Right.
But underneath that, something else emerges. Right. Not only allows you to help you deal with it, but it becomes a part of your being, so that the unanswered prayer appears to go unanswered. But because the medicine is in the wound, it also creates a template for transformation.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. As soon as you said that, that reading just popped into my awareness.
Yeah. Well, that was, you know, one of the other reasons I really fell in love with Thurman, in addition to the mysticism and social change stuff, was how he talks about suffering. You know, popular religious, more superficial treatments, not all, but, you know, some will say, oh, well, you know, if you just got right with God, you wouldn't have that cancer. Or even in New Thought, what's wrong with your consciousness that you manifest
that's old New Thought.
That experience,
right?
But in fact, you know, thank God for those experiences. I would not be who I am today. This book certainly would never been able to be written.
Yes.
You know, so when I got to the point of really understanding that if I was offered the chance to do my life over without this condition that literally for 50 years of my life has been pretty rough.
Your teacher.
Pretty rough.
It's rough.
It has been my teacher, and I would not trade it.
Yeah.
It has honed me.
Yeah.
As a good spiritual teacher will.
Yes.
Right. And I've learned so much. And I'm a better counselor. I'm a better human being.
Yes.
You know, because of that teacher.
Yes. Did you, were you ever a Trekkie?
Yes. Yes. OG Trekkie though, you know,
Yeah.
Kirk and Spock vintage
Yeah.
Trekkie.
Me too. But I also
Mhm.
got into what's the bald headed guy's
Then
name?
yeah, Jean-Luc. I
Yeah,
like that one too. And then they
yeah,
lost me after that.
yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me of he had an opportunity. Remember the character Q that would come in and
Oh, I
shapeshift?
hated Q.
I know.
Yeah.
He was a nemesis,
He was annoying.
but he gave John Luke an opportunity to experience his life
Hmm.
without certain negative things that had happened in his life, things that he was still dealing with, things that he hadn't healed yet. And I think it just in a fit of frustration, he tells the Q, you know, I wish X, Y, and Z had never happened.
Hmm.
Bam. His life changed, and he was not who he was. He was a
Right.
lesser expression of himself.
Yeah.
And he was telling Q, so why am I demoted? Why? He says,
Right.
well, you said you didn't want those things to happen, but
Mhm.
those things actually gave you the gift of leadership.
Right.
It gave you the gift of being able to handle certain crisis. You
Mhm.
got all that power from all of this so-called negative things you thought had happened to you.
Right.
And of course, then he wished his life back, and you know.
Right.
But that
And
was a great one.
and you know when we begin to see that in hindsight,
Mm-hmm.
right? One, it redeems all the things we've been through, but it also gives us a way to now engage the things that come across in present time.
Right.
That we don't have to meet them with the same
Fear.
devastation,
Yeah.
devastation, you know, doesn't make them easier. It doesn't, you know, change that the conditions are horrific.
Right.
And though we know, like Dr. Thurman's sermon that you heard as a freshman and wanted to just go, wait, what?
Right.
Like, what could possibly be good about that?
Right.
But if you hang out on the planet long enough and you listen to people who've been here longer and generations
Mm-hmm.
long before all of this, you know, current age of empire,
Right.
there's a knowing in this larger life that can use everything,
Everything. Mm-hmm.
if we let it.
We let it.
We have to give our consent.
Yes.
We have to say yes.
The vital nerve
Let's
center of your consent.
we're going to bring Thurman through this whole thing.
Yes. Cannot help it. You reek of it. I mean, I love it. So it's just,
But folks who don't know Thurman won't know that that's a Thurman quote. But yeah,
right.
the nerve center of your consent is giving your whole souled agreement and
Right.
commitment to a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it gives us a broader understanding of everything works together for our good. It may not, everything doesn't mean it's good. It wasn't happy.
And we may not like it.
It may not like it,
You
but the
know?
universe is progressive, and it will
is.
use that for the good of your growth and unfoldment and
Yeah.
maturation and all of the good stuff. Yeah.
And you know, the other thing that helps too is extending our perception of time.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know, naturally we're focused on one, our immediate condition,
Mm-hmm.
or our lifespan, or the lifespan of people we know.
Mm-hmm.
But transformation, I mean, yes, it can happen instantaneously, but more often it's an evolutionary progress.
Yeah.
And the transformation that we're involved in now did not begin with us. It's not going to end with us. That we are part of this ancestral, multi-generational chain on this project of transformation.
Mm-hmm.
And we just have to do our part.
We got to do our part. Yeah.
You know, so it's not a failure if we don't completely.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
mean, empire is destroying itself, but you know,
Yeah.
if it doesn't happen on our watch,
anything that goes against life ultimately, it has a shelf life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And anything that's in tune with the fundamental harmony of the universe gets to continue to reveal itself in different ways.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And life is full of these cycles of destruction and renewal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we're in really some of the roughest ride of this cycle coming to an end.
Yeah, absolutely. And the the blessing and the curse of it is we can now see it more clearly. Before it was hidden,
Right.
and so
Right.
now you can actually see the old paradigm of might makes right, and the old paradigm of
Yeah.
control and
Mhm.
greed,
Mm-hmm.
and all that we can see just being in high places, so-called high places in society. You
Right.
actually see it. And whereas before, individuals of that ilk would smile and lie,
Mm.
and you 5 years later that they were lying. Now you know it when they're speaking.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Time has sped up.
Time has sped up. It used to be like 5 years. You can see, oh, this was what they really were doing. Now it's like, oh, they're just stealing. They're trying to get that which doesn't satisfy and think it's going to satisfy them if they get enough of it, but
Right.
it doesn't work. And so that's the blessing, kind of. You can see it, and for those that can see it and wake up, deep soul care, and then deep, what is it that's mine to do from that connection? And I know you talk about, I think very similar in this, the difference between purpose and a goal. So people can begin to discover their purpose. But you may want to, whatever I just said, if you want to just jump in and just let Liza speak.
Yeah. Many of us in this culture anyway are taught to think of purpose as our vocation,
Right.
right? Or even a particular goal or accomplishment. And when we fulfill it, we check it off the list, and it's fulfilled. Our purpose is fulfilled. But I see purpose as that larger quality of being that our life is aimed toward.
Yes.
Right? It's larger than we are.
Yes.
Right? Which means that our ego can sometimes be a little scared about that.
Yeah.
But it's something that we give ourselves to, right? That we live into. We don't create. It's not like I have to come up with a really good purpose. Purpose is a spiritual quality. It's the soul's essence.
Yes.
Goals and vocations are some of the ways that our purpose can be expressed.
Yes.
Right? But they're the means. They're not the ends, right?
That's it right there. Yes. That's
Purpose doesn't have an end.
Yeah. No.
Right? It's first about that being part, the spiritual qualities that we're here to embody. And then that being guides and finds and sometimes pushes us, right, into expression through whatever we do.
Absolutely.
Right? So I use the example in the book. I'm not going to remember it exactly, but this is pretty close. If one of my soul qualities is creativity, how do I put that in service to the calling of these times? Right? My creativity might express itself in me writing inspirational songs that can uplift and inspire people. Or creativity might be expressed through inventing a new method for purifying polluted water and restoring its vitality, So
Right.
if that soul quality is creativity, there's myriad ways that can be lived into, right, in our human existence.
Absolutely.
When we have some clarity about our purpose, though, it can be really helpful in discernment. That's that compass that I talk about in the book, right?
Yeah. You'll know whether you're on or off.
It points you in the right direction, right? So if we're weighing a question like, should I take this job or move to that city, we can ask, does it further my purpose or does it hinder my purpose? Is it in alignment with this deeper urging of my spirit for how I am to contribute to these times? Sometimes it's neutral. Sometimes it doesn't matter, like where you live or what your job is.
Right.
But we can listen within. We can weigh it, and not just be guided by our logic mind or by what the dominant capitalist culture defines as success.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to say that pretty much everyone has the same purpose,
Hmm.
but we all have different missions to reflect that purpose.
Right.
So,
And to
so
contribute to the large
right,
collective purpose.
right. And contribution is a key word
Hmm.
because we did not take a human incarnation to get anything.
Right.
We took a human incarnation to contribute to the
Exactly.
unfoldment of this perfect idea called spiritual being having human incarnation to perfectly reflect the infinite as only we can uniquely.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we all have the same purpose, but we have different missions. But what you're hinting at too, if a person is not in tune with that,
Hmm.
the purpose, then they can act destructively because they can um, see themselves separate and then act
Yeah.
in a greedy, destructive kind of way, thinking that what they're doing is not affecting anyone else.
Mm. Yes to all of that.
Hmm.
And there's also many good-hearted, sincere people who are kind of floundering
Yeah,
in search of that clarity about purpose,
yeah, absolutely.
right?
And many people, it's
Hmm.
not,
Yeah.
you just mentioned the whole Western capitalistic mindset
Right. Right.
has people living to like get some kind of success as defined by that limited paradigm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if they fall short of it, they actually feel like they're a failure.
Mm-hmm. And
And
yeah, and that's a pseudo purpose,
right,
right? That's an ego purpose.
right,
It's
right.
not a soul purpose.
Yes. And your
Uh,
soul purpose comes from your soul.
exactly. It's not like it's out there somewhere
Right.
and we have to find it.
Mm-hmm.
It's in us. It's inherent in us.
Right, right.
It's even operating before we have a conscious realization about what it is.
Absolutely.
And that realization can take years of layering. I mean, I would understand a piece of it
Mm-hmm.
and then go with that for a while
Mm-hmm.
and then have a revelation about,
Mm-hmm.
oh, but it's actually this aspect of the thing,
Right,
you
right,
know?
right.
And so it can be a wonderful, the journey itself, right? It's not like, well, until I really know for sure, everything is wasted. Nothing is wasted.
Nothing is wasted.
Nothing is wasted ever,
Yeah,
ever,
yeah.
right?
Well, it's all energy. It's not nothing's ever going to be destroyed. It's just going to be
Mm-hmm.
transmuted,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And put in service
put in
to
service.
the
Yeah,
larger purpose.
absolutely.
Right, right.
It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
We've covered a lot of material here. Hey, you want to take a moment and lead us into a listening, kind of a short soul care listening practice? You feel that?
I'm always down for a good little practice.
Yeah, let's take a moment or
Yeah,
two so people can
yeah.
just kind
You
of
know,
center into what we're talking about.
mhm, mhm.
Mhm.
I think given the shortness of time, rather than a listening practice where I would really want to be able to tarry in the listening, let me offer a practice that Spirit gave to me one time to open an event that is it breathes us into the individual, the collective,
Mhm.
the inner, the social transformation, right?
Mhm.
So let me invite folks who are listening, if they're in a place where they can allow their eyes to close. If you're driving, don't do that.
Mhm.
But if you can, just gently allow your eyes to close or your gaze to soften with a downward glance. Just letting go of outward distractions. And I invite you to gently begin to become aware of your breath. Feel its gentle flow in and out. And as you observe that breath, gently allow it to deepen. To become slower and fuller. allowing yourself really to rest in the breath. Feeling the breath breathe you, and know that you're supported. And as we breathe, we can open to that larger life that is everywhere. Always available. Always right where we are. And so we're going to take 3 intentional breaths together. On the first breath, I invite you to breathe in whatever qualities you need in this moment to nourish your body, mind, and being. So as you breathe in love, wholeness, healing, wisdom, freedom, joy, and pour it into your body, mind, and being from the crown of your head, through your body temple, all the way to the soles of your feet. Just really saturating yourself with these qualities. And how good that feels. And let's take in another breath right now. And we're going to send those qualities out to the people that you hold in your heart in care. Loved ones who are going through a hard time. Folks who are in need of some extra support, sending them whatever qualities they need. And on this third breath, we breathe in and we send out to the world whatever qualities are needed for the healing, for the upliftment, for the awakening, for the liberation, the love, the wholeness, the peace, to the entire world. Love to the planet itself. And then bring your awareness back in. In fact, let's do another breath just to bring us back into our own body, mind, and being, pouring in whatever you need in this moment to bring you back to your center. And know that this practice and these qualities are always available to you. And you can actually take as long as you want with each one. I invite you now, take in a breath of vitality and presence. And as you exhale, gently allow your eyes to open. Thank you very much.
Outstanding. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the perfect way to complete our time together. Let me ask you a couple of questions. One, how can people find you? Website, Instagram, wherever.
Yeah. Thank you for that. My website is really mission control to link to all the other things. My web is my name, lizarankow.org. But since that might be hard to spell or remember,
it'll be in the notes.
But also, soulmedicinebook.com will get you to the book information page on my website, and then everything else, my bio, links to social media. I invite folks to subscribe to my Substack, which is also my email list, as a really good way to stay in touch. There's some guided meditations. I mean, just go soulmedicinebook.com and explore the world The World of Liza.
The World of Liza. Let me ask you another thing. The thing that you produced before with Dr. Thurman, is that still available if it sounds true?
It is
Some
as
sounds
a
true?
digital download
It's a
only at
digital
this point.
download.
Yeah, it's actually available everywhere at this
Okay.
point.
What's
But
it
with the
called? I want people to really
yeah,
get that.
it's called The Living Wisdom of Howard Thurman.
Okay.
And let me just offer one cautionary note. The Sounds True version comes with a PDF booklet that gives some context. It gives you the track notes. It gives you a lot of really important information. The recordings are tracked, so you can go to a particular meditation or prayer or sermon of Dr. Thurman's. When they put it out through Audible, where it's obviously way less expensive, it's each CD is one long track. So there's no way to actually go to what you're trying to get to.
I see.
And there's no way to know what you're actually listening to.
Okay.
So, if folks just need to get it and they only have the Audible version, go for it. But if you have a little capacity to get the Sounds True download, it's going to give you more. I'll also mention, Michael, that the library at Emory College or University in Atlanta has a really beautiful curated archive of Thurman's audio that they've been working on.
Oh, beautiful.
They're not as edited and as cleaned up and as curated as our set was, but it's a great resource and it's free.
Beautiful, beautiful. I know Boston University has a nice.
Boston took theirs offline, sadly.
It's only on campus now?
Well, the digital, they have all the tapes, the physical tapes. That's where we got ours. We borrowed them from Boston. But they were the first ones to put the digital library up, and unless they've restored it, it was offline. You could still get it through the Wayback Machine, but but Emory's is active and current. I just gave them a box full of Thurman tapes and CDs to add.
Very good. Well, this has been great, Liza.
Thank you
Great
so
conversation.
much. Thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate it, and really would love to hear how folks respond to the book.
Very good.
I am reachable through my website and my socials.
Reach her at her website, everyone. This has been great. I want you guys to have a beautiful and bright day, and I know that you took in that very brief soul centering process, but ultimately we want you to make that a way of living. Amen. So that you're connecting with your soul on a regular basis.
That's right.
And filtering out the noise of the world. Hey, everyone, have a bright and beautiful day. Stay strong in the spirit. God bless you, Liza. Thank you.
Blessings.
Peace and dynamic blessings. Many of you have written letters about how much you really appreciate the Take Back Your Mind podcast and the life questions. So appreciate those letters. Now, our particular program here, these episodes, it's powered by spiritual purpose, but it also has powerful sponsorship. The primary sponsor is Agape International Spiritual Center. So everything that goes on here, Agape is behind it. So what I want you to do, I want you to support the Take Back Your Mind podcast. Go to agapelive.com, make a donation, put a little indication that you're supporting the podcast in that donation, or text the word give to 424-321-6243. Write the word podcast so we know you're supporting this wonderful program of Take Back Your Mind. The secondary sponsor is Neutralize. This is the company that actually produces my particular supplemental line called Adaptogen. I have the Super Greens, I have the Elevate fermented mushrooms, and a number of other products that are emerging. Just go to Neutralize.com, find Adaptogen, and you know what? Uplift your spirit, uplift your body. Remember to share all of this with your friends and support our wonderful sponsor, Have a beautiful day. Blessings to one and to all, because all are an extension of the one. We're going to take a couple of moments and go into what is called meditation, paying undistractable attention to that which is real. As you have heard the conversation I just had with Dr. Liza, this is a dimension of soul care, going deep within yourself. As I like to say, you go so deep within yourself, you bump into yourself, your real self, the light, the luminosity, the brilliance, the intelligence that you really are, of which this incarnation is a way by which you get to express who and what you are. And meditation is a primary, fundamental spiritual technology that allows you to wake up to who you are, what you are. The who is an individualized expression of the what. The what is the grand life, called by millions of names. The who is the dynamic expression of the what, which is you, the true you. Just turn within for a moment. Just receive a nice inhalation. Release. Just receive another. Release. One more. Release. Now allow your breathing to be determined by your body, not by your mind. So the body will breathe as it needs to be. What you may do in this moment is to extract your attention away from what is called the external world, sometimes called the world of appearances, because the external world is the outpicturing of a collective belief, a collective point of view, a collective perception that is revealing itself as the world as it appears to be. You're extracting yourself from the world of appearances. You're coming into your own interiority, your inner awareness. And in this inner awareness, you are becoming a sovereign being, establishing intention and choice. In this moment, I want you to intend to be grateful. What does that mean? You are literally choosing a frequency of gratitude. You're choosing it and coming into this state of gratitude right now. Intention and choice. Choose to be grateful. With every breath, you're coming out of the world of appearances as your source of joy and happiness. And you're coming back to who and what you are as the source of joy and happiness. You're taking your power back where you may have outsourced it to external circumstances. You're now turning within to the one source, the presence of life personified as your life, the true you. This silence is potent with your intention and your choice. The universal law is now shape-shifting itself around your intention and choice, which means your experience of the world will be more full of light and gratitude and things to be grateful for, not coming from the outside, but coming from your inside, your interior awareness, shaping the world that you appear to live in. Be grateful, be thankful. Oh, divine life within us. Divine life that wants to know itself as us. We yield to it and give great thanks that we are alive, we exist at all. And in this consciousness of thanksgiving and gratitude, we become available for more of the all good to pour forth through us, because now there is no resistance. There's no chasing. There's no fighting to get. We're simply being receptive to what is eternally being given. Life, which is love and beauty and intelligence, now has a way to reveal itself as each and every one of us, the true you. Let it be so. And so it is. You slowly open your eyes, step into a different world, because it's you, the true you, recreating the world based on the vibration and the frequency you're now holding. You may look for signs following now. Miracles, insights, coincidences, serendipity. You can look for them. Because of your vibrational shift, signs will follow a change of consciousness. Have a beautiful day. Your time is very valuable, so I want to thank you for tuning in to Take Back Your Mind. If you want to submit a life question, please do so. Email us at podcast@michaelbeckwith.com, and perhaps one day I'll be answering your question that will touch the lives of so many. If you've enjoyed the show, you might as well submit a 5-star review. You might as well tell your friends and family. Let's spread the love. Until we meet again, maintain your awareness. Take back your mind. Because when you take back your mind, you take back your life. Peace and blessings.